Hi, it's Cara, and today the lighting could be a bit awful. I haven't figured that out yet, but it's like almost dark outside and I just have my overhead lights on and we are filming a couple of videos today. But first off, my July TBR. So in July I'm participating in 2 read-a-thons. The first one, which is probably the one where most of these books are going for, is the Book Junkie Trials, just being hosted by Rachel Marie of Rachel Marie Book Junkie, and it's so fun. It's both of the ones I'm participating in are month-long read-a-thons. This one focuses on a quest to find the Bookie Grail, and you pick a team. You can either get allocated to a team via a quiz, or you can pick your own team. And I got allocated into Team Bard. It took me a second. Team Bard, which is hosted by Riley from Riley and Marie. I have picked a TBR for the prompts for Team Bard, but I've also picked a full TBR for every possible prompt in the read-a-thon. And I'm getting hot, so I'm going to show my jacket. So I did pick something for every prompt of the read-a-thon, and I will show you my plan is to sequentially read the 5 on my Bard path, but otherwise I'll be reading bits of everything else throughout the month. So for I've got so many books piled up here for all these videos, so I can't keep them all out of frame. But for the Bard path, the first spot is the Elven Guard, which is a book with war, military or political themes. And for this, I'm going to be reading Artemis Fowl by Ian Colfer. This is my middle grade book of the month. And it goes into this category because our main character kidnaps a fairy who is a military captain unexpectedly. And I have read this quite a number of times, but I've never finished out the series, so I'm rereading the series. I really enjoy it, and it's only 250 pages with quite large text, so I'm very keen to give this a try. I've read it before. I'm very keen to reread this. So this is for the Elven Guard. Oh, I should also say, the other read-a-thon I'm participating in is the Medievalathon, hosted by Holly Hearts Books, and this book is going for, in that challenge you collect clothing and weapons, and then the more books you read, the higher your rank in the fantasy medieval setting, and this is fulfilling the challenge Boots Yellowed Over Time. Obviously you can see I've owned this for a long time. Then the next challenge on the Book Junkie path is the Hallow Isle, which is an atmospheric or horror read, and for this I'm going to be reading Wilder Girls by Rory Powell, which comes out here on the 9th of July, I think. This is a body horror, sapphic horror, beautiful cover story. I'm so excited for it. Again, I think it's on the shorter side, which is good for this read-a-thon and good for my reading month in general. And I'm really excited to read this. It's one of a large stack of July releases I'm really excited to read, even though most of them are not in this TBR, but most of them come out really late in the month. So then for the Empty Barrel Inn, we're looking for an indulgent read, and for this I'm going to be reading Space Opera by Catherine M. Valente. This also works for the Bard's weakness, which is you have to read a book featuring music or poetry. Obviously space opera is described as Eurovision in space, and all of the kind of backs talk a lot about music. So if Ziggy Stardust went on a blind date with the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, yes, I am really excited for this. This seems like everything I want. Sci-fi, music, it's purple. I'm so excited. Oh, this could potentially go for a Reading Rush challenge if I happen to still be working on this when Reading Rush hits. For the hint of for purple on the cover. So there is this that I'm going to be reading for the Empty Barrel Inn challenge. This also works for the chest plate challenge for Medievalathon, which is a shiny book, obviously. Shiny. Then the next location on the Bard Path is Giant Squid, and that's an intimidating read. And for this I drew a book out of my Fantasy Reads TBR, 5-star TBR. I did it off camera because I was trying to set up my TBR the other day and I just couldn't help myself, and so I drew out Crown of Feathers by Nikki Powpredo. I was calling all of these books intimidating because they're all on the chunky side. This one's 460 pages and the text isn't very big at all, so this is a bit chunky. I'm looking forward to this so much. They just released the cover for book 2, which looks so good, and I'm just very excited to read this. This came out earlier in the year, and I've heard amazing things, and I just haven't got around to it yet, so I'm so excited to finally get to this. And obviously then the final book on the Bard Path is the group book, which is Stardust by Neil Gaiman. This is my partner's copy. It's very also yellowed. I think just because he had it near the sun. Again, Stardust is shortish. It's only, what, 250 pages? So this should be a breeze to knock off. And I've never read it before. I've watched the movie many times, but I've never read the book, so exciting. So this plus Wilder Girls is my Bard Path TBR. Did Stardust count for anything in the Medievalathon? Yes. I'm counting Stardust for Crown, a character fights for the throne. I know Tristan technically doesn't fight for the throne, but you feel it, you feel it. I twisted that a little, but it makes sense. So that's my Bard Path TBR. And then we have a bunch of other books that will also fulfill challenges. So I'll go through all the challenges and tell you what I've picked for them. I don't have all of them on me. Some of them haven't come out yet. Some of them are audiobooks. We'll just go through it. And I also have a couple of extra things that I would like to read if I get to them that aren't a challenge. So we have Crimson Peaks, which is to reread a fave, and I'm counting Heartstopper Volume 2 for this. This is the second installment in the Heartstopper graphic novel comic series, and I read most of what will be Volume 2 when it was as a web series. So I'm counting it loosely as a reread, but I don't think I've read all of it. I've read some of it, but we'll count it. Then we have Queendom Stone, which is a book featuring royalty, and for this I'm going to use Cress by Marissa Meyer, which is the third book in the Lunar Chronicles. I'll be listening to this on audiobook. I've been slowly working through these. They're obviously YA sci-fi retellings of fairy tales, and this one is Rapunzel. Then we have The Forgotten Forests, which is next in a series, and for this I'm going to be reading, I didn't stack these well, Deceptive by Emily Lloyd Jones. This is on my TBR as a recent, like last year release that I didn't get a chance to get to, and it finishes off this series, I think. I don't think there's going to be a third one. I think it's just a duology. I read the first one a long time ago, Elusive. This could also go for the Reading Rush Purple Challenge. I'm low-key participating in the Reading Rush, I think. I've signed up, but I'm not going to work super hard to meet all the challenges, so I'm not really talking about it that much today. But this is next in a series for The Forgotten Forests. It also is, it's not as good as it, no, yeah, it's just cream underneath, but it's a very nice cover. This one was great, I think. And I'm really excited to read Emily Lloyd Jones' new book that's coming out this year. Not in this series, but I'm excited for that as well. So I do have to get to Deceptive. Then we have, oh, sorry, I'm knocking you. Then we have The Weeping Foals, which is a tearjerker. And for this, I'm going to go with Kindred, 12 Queer Love Oz YA Stories. I'm guessing probably most of these will not be tearjerkers, but probably at least one will be. And I'm really excited to read this anthology. So I'm guessing there'll be a combination of fun, sad, all over the place kind of stories in this. So hopefully one of them will be sad. I don't tend to cry over books though, so I'm like not gonna shed the tears, but I went with this one and I'll be reading this throughout the month, like a story every day kind of thing, for a little while. I'm excited about this. Then we have Dwarf Mount, which is a hint of romance, and for that I'm going to read King of Fools by Amanda Fruity, because there's, at least in the first book, and so presumably it's going to develop more in this one, there's a little hint of romance between our two main characters, Levi and Anne, but it wasn't fully developed by any means. It was very slow burn, just hinting at things. So I think this will be a hint of romance, but it's all round a fantasy heisty kind of novel. I am currently reading this, but it's like on the back burner. I'm 50 pages in. I'm hoping to get maybe another 50 before the end of June, so I'll be currently reading this at the start of July. Then the next prompt is Apothecary Towers, which is to randomize your TBR. And I used my sequels 5-star TBR jar for this. Again, I drew it already, and I drew out Golden Sun by Pierce Brown, which is obviously book 2. If it lines up well and I get to it in time, I might attend the live show for this that Pierre from Pierre Ford is hosting, if it lines up well. I read Red Rising a while ago and I enjoyed it. I can understand the problems people have with it, but I had a good time reading it, so I'm excited to pick up book 2. Then we have The Great Library, which is a TBR veteran, and for this I'm going to be reading, I keep drawing from the bottom of the stack, this is how badly I've organized. I'm going to be reading Clariel by Garth Nix. This has been on my TBR since it came out, as you can tell by the fact that it's yellowed, which was a couple of years ago now. And I finally got around to reading the first trilogy in this series, so I'm very excited to pick up this one, which is a prequel to that. This is the Old Kingdom Chronicles, and I really enjoyed the first 3 books, so I'm excited to read Clariel. It's been on my TBR a couple of times this year and I haven't got around to it, but I'm going to try and get it done in July. Then we have The Drowning Deep, which is rich world building, and for that I'm going to read 7 Surrenders by Ada Palmer. I haven't started this yet, but my hope, it was on my Simsathon TBR, so my hope is to have started it by the end of the month of June again. And this is a sci-fi story. It's nuts. I need to read this sooner rather than later because the first book was really intense and it has a lot of elements. It's very, like, I'd say hard sci-fi. So I need to get on this sooner rather than later. I did really enjoy book 1, and I'm excited to read book 2. But I think do a lot of research before going into this. This is like almost pretentiously clever. Then we have Orc Grove, which is something gruesome, gory, or gritty. And for that, I'm going to be reading The Heart Forger by Rin Chapeko. I'm also currently reading this, which is why the dust jacket is off. Again, like Ace of Shades, I'm only 50 pages in, but I do hope to be another 50 pages or so by the end of June. But this is a bit of a chunky boy, so that's not a bad thing. This is about a necromancer. It's a YA fantasy following our main character T, who is a necromancer, essentially. So I think it really fits the gruesome, gory component, and I'm enjoying this so far. I enjoyed book 1. It had some things that irked me, but I don't think those will continue on into book 2, and I've heard amazing things about this series. And the 3rd book is out now, and I own it because I started reading this, so I bought it. So we need to make sure I read this. Oh, I should have said King of Fools goes for leggings in Medievalathon, which is a thick paperback. It's thick. And Clariel goes for something pointy on the cover. You can see that she has a sword, which gets you a sword as your weapon. Then we have a couple of audiobooks that I'm hoping to read in the month of July. We have For Old Pirate Cove, which is at sea, something set at sea. We have Don't Date Rosa Santos by Nina Moreno. I don't have my notes. I think it's Moreno. This I'm loosely interpreting. It has a wave on the cover and I think it's set on the coast, so I'm saying that's at sea. I really want to read this. I'm really excited for it, and I have it on Scribd, so mwah. And then for Glimmer, which is a beautiful or colourful book, I would like to read or listen to the audiobook of Magic for Liars by a person whose name I can't remember because I didn't look it up, but here is the cover which has the person's name on it. And this is a gorgeous colourful cover, so yes. I don't know that much about this, but it reminds me a lot of An Unkindness of Magicians by Kat Howard, which I loved, and so I'm really excited to read this. Dark, like adult, but like magic. Oh, so good. Love that. And then finally, the last prompt I have here is Draconic Isle, and that's something featuring dragons, and I'm gonna, hopefully I've already started this, but I'm gonna be reading The Fire Eternal by Krista Lacey, which is the next book in the Last Dragon Chronicles that I'm up to. This was technically my middle grade for June and on my Simsathon TBR, but I definitely don't think I'll get around to finishing it. So hopefully, like those other couple of books, I will be like 100 or so pages in by the start of the month. And I'll read that for Draconic Isle. Some other things I would love to read. There's one that I'm definitely going to get to, and then a bunch of new releases that if I find time I would love to read. So I'm definitely going to read the last two short stories in Ghosts of the Shadow Market, which is the bind-up of the Shadowhunter short stories that came out over the year before the most recent one. What was the most recent one? I'm blanking. These came out of like last year on ebook, and I read the first 8, but there are 2 extra ones in here that didn't come out on ebook, The Lost World and Forever Fallen. So I'm gonna read the last like this much of this. That's all. I'm not gonna read the rest because I've already read them. But I'm gonna read those last 2 bits definitely in the month of July. I have another anthology on its way to me from the library, which is Hungry Hearts, edited by Elsie Chapman. Might work on that, otherwise it might get pushed to August. I also have another book on its way to me from the library, which is Jacoby by William Ritter. Again, might get to that. Yeah. Other new releases I'd love to maybe get to, or recent releases I should say. We have one I would really love to get to, Middle Game by Shauna Maguire. It was on my Simsathon TBR, but it's definitely not getting read, but I'm so excited for it. I just didn't find time. Romanov by Nadine Brandes also was on my Simsathon TBR, but it's never going to happen. Same with Dealing in Dreams by Lilian Rivera, but I'm so excited for this also. I am so excited. Also, I Wish You All the Best by Mason Diva. Would love to read this. The Wise and the Wicked by Rebecca Protis. Just got this one. Would love to read it. It's a new release. And also Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson, which is a recent release. Oh, I don't know if I'll get to any of those, but if I finish everything else or have a gap in my reading cycle later in the month of July, I'll pick up one of these. I'm gonna focus a lot on, I'm gonna try and focus a lot on new releases in August, but there's also a lot of July releases I'm really excited about, so I don't know if that's gonna happen, but we'll see. We'll see. So those are all the books on my TBR for the month of July. I know, it's ridiculous, it's ambitious, it'll never probably happen, but we're gonna try. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're looking forward to participating in Medievalathon, the Book Junkie Trials, or both, and keep an eye out on my Twitter for updates throughout the month. I still haven't decided if I'm going to vlog it or not, but we will see. And otherwise, I'll see you soon with another video, which will probably be my wrap-up for the month. Alright, no, haul, wrap-up, haul then wrap-up, because I will be putting this up first. Alright, see you soon with that one. Bye!